I never thought I'd be the guy writing something like this, but here I am. My name's Mike, and I've been with my wife, Lisa, for about 8 years now. We met in college. She was the fiery, pretty girl everyone noticed, and I was just happy to be with someone who seemed so confident and smart. At first, everything seemed perfect. We had our fights, sure, but nothing that felt like it could threaten what we had. Or so I thought. Lately, though, I started noticing small things that didn't add up. She became more distant, secretive even. She'd leave her phone around more often, and when I'd try to see what she was doing, she'd get defensive or change the subject. I'd ask her about things she'd say she was doing, like a girl's night or an appointment, and she'd lie through her teeth. She'd get bitchy, snapping at me for no reason, telling me I was paranoid or insecure. She'd brush off my concerns, telling me I was overreacting. But I knew better. Something was up. It all came to a head when I started noticing more frequent late nights. She'd say she was working late, but I knew she was. Her phone started showing weird messages, texts from a guy named Jason, who I'd never heard her mention before. And her behavior was totally different when she was on her phone, secretive, nervous, like she was hiding something. I caught her deleting messages once, quick enough that she didn't realize I'd seen. My gut told me something was seriously wrong. I started digging, and that's when I found the proof I didn't want to see. A string of messages between her and Jason that were pretty damn explicit. Not just, "Hey, how are you?" but stuff that made my stomach turn. They were talking about meeting up, about having sex. It was clear she'd been lying and sneaking around for weeks. That moment hit me like a ton of bricks. I felt my chest tighten, my hands trembled, and I couldn't breathe at first. I sat there staring at her phone, reading every message, feeling every ounce of betrayal, anger, and sadness all at once. How could she do this? How could she lie to my face for so long? I never imagined she'd be capable of cheating. The girl I thought I knew, the girl I married. She was supposed to be the one, and now I felt like a fool. All those times she told me I was crazy, that I was imagining things, that she loved me, she was lying. She was out there with some guy having sex while I was at home thinking everything was fine. I didn't wake her up that night. I just sat there staring at her messages, feeling like my world was crashing down. I wanted to yell, to scream, to break something, but I just sat there feeling numb. I finally realized she wasn't the person I thought she was. The woman I married had been hiding a whole other life from me. I didn't know what to feel anymore: anger, heartbreak, disappointment. It was like someone was slowly ripping my world apart, and I couldn't stop it. I knew I had to confront her soon, but I also knew that nothing was ever going to be the same after this. The next morning, I knew I couldn't keep everything bottled up anymore. I woke up feeling like I'd been hit by a truck. My mind was racing, heart pounding. I kept replaying those messages, those images of her and Jason, and I felt this burning need to confront her. I didn't want to give her time to spin her lies or come up with some bullshit excuse. I needed to hear it straight from her mouth. When she finally got out of bed, I stood in the doorway trying to keep my voice steady. I didn't yell right away. I needed to keep control, but my voice was tight. "Lisa, we need to talk," I said. She looked surprised, maybe even a little nervous, but she brushed it off quickly. "What's wrong, Mike? Can't a girl get her sleep?" She snapped, rolling her eyes. That bitchy attitude she always slipped into when she was trying to dismiss something serious. I took a deep breath. "No, Lisa, we need to talk about Jason." Her face froze for a second, then she put on that fake smile, the one she always used when she was lying. "Jason? Who's Jason? I don't know any Jason." Her voice was innocent, but her eyes darted away, nervous. I pulled out my phone and showed her the messages. Her face went pale, her eyes widening in shock. But then she recovered quickly, trying to brush it off. "Oh, they're just some stupid jokes. You know how guys are. He's just a friend, Mike. Don't get worked up over nothing." I clenched my fists. "Nothing? You've been sneaking around, lying, having sex with some guy, and you call it nothing? How stupid do you think I am? I've seen the messages, Lisa. I know what you've been doing." Her mask cracked for a second, and I saw the anger flicker in her eyes. "You're crazy," she spat. "You always think everything's about you. You're paranoid, insecure. I work late, that's all. Jason's just some guy from work, nothing more." But I wasn't buying it. I knew her too well. Her lies are always the same, trying to turn everything around on me, making me doubt myself. She's good at that, but I wasn't buying her bullshit anymore. I told her I wanted the truth, and if she was honest with me, maybe we could fix this. But she just laughed, that bitter, bitchy laugh that sent chills down my spine. Fix this, please, Mike. You're just jealous because I'm better than you. Honestly, if I want sex, I'll get it. I don't need your permission or your pathetic little feelings. That's when I realized I was dealing with someone who didn't care about me, about us. She was just using me, playing her little game, acting like I was the problem when she was the one cheating. I felt rage boiling inside me. I wanted to break something, but instead, I just told her I was done talking and left the room. I needed space to think, to process what just happened. The betrayal was too much, and I knew I couldn't go back to pretending everything was okay. I needed to plan my next move because this wasn't just about her cheating. It was about what I was going to do to get my life back. After I left the room, I spent the rest of that day trying to keep my shit together. But honestly, I felt like I was walking around in a fog. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw those messages, her face when I called her out, that look of contempt she had when she was lying. I couldn't believe I had been so blind. For years, I thought we had something real, something worth fighting for, and now I saw how much she didn't care. She'd been lying to me, cheating behind my back, and probably laughing at me the whole time. That night I couldn't sleep. My mind kept racing, replaying everything. I kept asking myself how I missed all the signs. Maybe I was too comfortable, too trusting, or maybe I just didn't want to see what was right in front of me. All I knew was that I was furious at her, and even more, I was hurt. I felt betrayed in a way I'd never experienced before, like I'd been sucker punched in the stomach. The woman I loved, the woman I'd married, was out there fucking some other guy, and I had no idea how long it had been going on. I decided I needed to get some space. I packed a bag, told her I was staying at my brother for a few days, and left. I didn't want to see her, not yet. I knew I had to think about what I was going to do, but part of me just wanted to lash out, maybe break something, maybe even confront her again if I had the chance. But I knew that wouldn't help. I needed a plan, and I needed to keep my head straight. That's when I started considering my options. I could just walk away, divorce her, and never look back. Or I could try to get revenge, make her regret every single lie, every betrayal. The thought of revenge was tempting. I wanted her to feel what I was feeling, humiliated, betrayed, and powerless. But I also knew that wasn't going to be easy. She's a manipulator, a liar, and she's good at covering her tracks. Still, I'd been betrayed so badly I couldn't just let her go without some kind of payback. The next few days were a blur of anger and sadness. I kept hearing her voice, imagining her with Jason, imagining her lying there, pretending she loved me while she was screwing someone else. It was like my heart was breaking all over again every time I thought about it. I couldn't believe I'd been so stupid, how I never saw the signs, how I never thought she'd cheat on me. And now I was faced with the truth. She'd been playing me for months, maybe longer. That realization was almost worse than the actual cheating because it made me feel like I'd been a fool. But I also knew I wasn't going to let her walk all over me. I was angry, yes, but I needed to be smart. I started researching ways to make her pay, ways to make her regret her choices. I wanted her to feel some of the pain I was feeling, maybe even more. I knew I had to be careful, though. I didn't want to get caught doing something I'd regret later, but I also knew I had to do something to regain some control over my life. That's when I decided I'd plan my revenge, quietly and carefully. I spent the next few days gathering information, watching her social media, looking for ways to expose her if I needed to. I was trying to stay calm, but inside I was boiling with rage. I knew I couldn't let her get away with this, not without some consequences. I had to make her understand what she lost, what I was capable of doing if she thought I was just going to take this lying down. I wasn't going to be some fool who got betrayed and did nothing. No, I was going to make her regret every lie, every moment she played me for a fool. And when the time was right, I'd strike back. The days turned into a week, and I used that time to sharpen my plan. I knew I couldn't confront her again blindly. I needed to be strategic. I started by digging into her phone, things she hadn't deleted, messages she thought she'd hidden. I didn't want to go overboard, but I needed to understand her mindset, her routines, her weaknesses. I also checked her social media accounts and noticed she'd been posting more of her perfect life, pretending everything was fine. It was sickening how transparent she was trying to be, posting fake happy pictures to cover her real life behind closed doors. Meanwhile, she kept trying to call or message me, acting like everything was fine, like I was overreacting. That bitch had no idea how much I knew, or maybe she just didn't care. She thought she could keep lying and I'd never find out the truth. But I'd already crossed that line. I saw what she was doing and I wasn't going to let her get away with it. I made sure to keep my emotions in check, though. No yelling, no threats, at least not yet. I wanted her to feel like she was walking on thin ice, like any wrong move could blow everything up in her face. One night, I decided I'd had enough of the waiting game. I wanted her to understand that I was serious. This wasn't just about catching her cheating. It was about sending a message. So I arranged to meet her at the house after she said she'd be working late again, but really, I had a plan to catch her in the act. I set up a little hidden camera in the living room. Nothing fancy, just enough to see if she'd bring Jason over or do something suspicious. I knew it was risky, but I also knew I needed proof, something concrete that I could use if I decided to confront her or even take legal action. When she finally showed up that night, she was her usual bitchy self, acting like she owned the place. She thought she was so clever, dismissing me like I was nothing. But I didn't say a word. I just watched her from behind the camera. Sure enough, within an hour she started acting suspicious, looking around like she was hiding something, texting on her phone with those sly little smirks. Then she got a bag out of her purse and started packing it as if she was planning to leave, maybe with Jason. That was it. I knew I had her. I felt a mix of relief and rage. She thought she was so smart, so untouchable, but I had the proof now. I wasn't going to let her lie her way out of this one. I made a mental note. This was just the beginning. I was ready to expose her, to make her regret every lie, every fake smile, every moment she betrayed me. I knew I'd have to be careful. She was manipulative and bitchy, and I didn't want her to catch on before I was ready. But I also knew I had the upper hand now, and I wasn't going to let her forget it. The next step was deciding how to confront her, whether to do it face to face with all the evidence, or to wait and see what she'd do next. Either way, I was certain of one thing. I wasn't going to be the fool anymore. I was done being humiliated and I was going to make sure she paid, no matter what it took. That's the point I was at now, ready to take her down, ready to make her see what she lost, and ready to finally take back some control of my life. The confrontation was inevitable now. I knew I couldn't keep hiding behind the scenes forever. I wanted her to face what she'd done, to see that I wasn't just some fool she could walk all over. So I waited until evening when she was back from her late shift, and I called her into the living room. She looked annoyed, like she didn't want to deal with me, but she came anyway, that sneer on her face like she thought she had all the power. I laid out everything I had, her messages, the videos from the hidden camera, the evidence of her packing her bag to leave with Jason. Her face twisted when she saw the footage, her eyes darting around like a cornered animal. For a second she tried to deny it, acting all innocent and sweet like I was overreacting. "Mike, you're crazy," she said, her voice trembling just a little. "You've got no proof. You're just jealous like always. I've been working late and you're just paranoid. You're making this all up." But I wasn't buying her bullshit anymore. I looked her right in the eyes and told her I knew everything about the lies, the sex, the sneaking around. I told her I wasn't going to let her destroy what we had, not without facing some consequences. And then she snapped. She started yelling, calling me jealous, insecure, and even accusing me of cheating myself just to justify her own. That bitch had the nerve to throw that at me after all she'd done. I was furious, but I kept my cool. I told her she had two choices. She could come clean and face the music, or she could walk out that door and never come back. She looked at me for a long moment, then spat out that she didn't care. She'd rather leave than stay and be controlled. That's when I decided enough was enough. I told her I was done with her lies, and I was going to expose her, whether that meant telling her family, her friends, or even the world. I wanted her to understand that her actions had consequences, and I wasn't going to be the victim anymore. She stormed out then, furious and yelling, but I felt a strange sense of relief. For the first time in weeks, I was finally taking control. I knew she'd probably try to spin it or deny everything, but I had the evidence, and I was prepared to use it. I wasn't going to let her get away with cheating, manipulating, and lying to me like I was some stupid fool. I felt this burning anger and a strange sense of liberation, like I was finally waking up from this nightmare she'd created. The next steps weren't clear yet, but I knew I wouldn't rest until she paid for what she'd done. I deserved that much at least. In the days that followed, I didn't hold back. I started making plans to sever all ties, divorce papers, legal advice, everything I needed to move on. I wanted her out of my life completely. I knew she was trying to act like she didn't care, but I also saw the cracks in her facade. She was furious, trying to spin her lies to her friends and family, but none of it changed the fact that I had everything on record. She'd betrayed me in the worst way, and I wasn't going to let her manipulate her way out of it this time. The final blow was when I finally told her I was filing for divorce. She screamed, called me a jealous, insecure loser, but I didn't care. I felt a strange sense of relief, like I'd finally taken back what was mine. She tried to guilt-trip me, saying I'd ruin her and she'd never forgive me, but honestly I didn't care about her apologies or her tears. I knew who she was now, and I knew I couldn't trust her again. I also realized I'd learned something crucial through all of this. Trust is fragile and betrayal cuts deep. But I also learned that sometimes you have to hit rock bottom before you can claw your way back up. I spent a lot of nights feeling broken, asking myself how I let it get so bad, but in the end, I found strength I didn't know I had. I decided to focus on myself, the job, friends, and things I'd neglected while I was busy being blind to her lies. It's not easy, but I know I'll be okay. Looking back, I can honestly say I'm glad I found out when I did. It hurt like hell at first, but it made me realize I deserve honesty and respect. I'll never look at her the same way again, and honestly, I don't want to. I'm finally free from her manipulations and lies, and I know now that I have the power to rebuild my life. That betrayal pushed me to a breaking point, but it also gave me clarity. I learned that sometimes the only way to move forward is to face everything head on, even if it hurts. And yeah, I'll be better for it.